few. Joining us today, Ron McAndrew. This is a bit of a rare opportunity here to talk with a former warden who was superintendent of the Florida prison where death row inmates were with you 10 years or so when you went to Stark. How did you feel about the death penalty? Were you in support of it?
Well, I was totally in support of the death penalty at that time.
Why?
I thought it was the right thing to do. I had experienced 2 murders in my own family in years past. I despised the people who had committed these murders. When one of them committed suicide in prison, I was not displeased at all. I was a pretty hardcore kind of guy, and that's probably one of the reasons I was selected to go to Florida State Prison, because they knew I could handle it, as the expression went. It didn't take very long. You get up close to an execution, you're standing 3 or 4 feet away from a man who is departing this earth. You smell the flesh burning on the top of his head. You see the steam coming out from underneath the mask that's coming from his eyes, his nostrils, his mouth, his ears. You see the tenseness in the body where the hands come to a tight fist, gripping the oak on the 3-legged chair he's sitting in. And you just have to stop and ask yourself, what in the heck are you doing? It's wrong.
Now, the Pedro Medina case is the one you were talking about where the flames were coming out of the mask. That's the point where Florida said, we need to move to lethal injection. That is more humane. Did it turn out to be more humane, in your opinion? Did it seem like that was a way more humane way of executing people?
Absolutely not.
No?
The electric chair is certainly inhumane, and I could sit here and talk to you for hours about why I think it's inhumane. But lethal injection means that you've got to cut into the body. You've got to go in with intravenous apparatus. You've got to do cut downs sometimes. A lot of prisoners in the system are ex-drug addicts, and their veins are very small or they're totally collapsed. There are various ways they get. So when you carve somebody up just trying to put a needle into a vein that will carry a poison to their heart.
What's wrong with an eye for an eye punishment for this man? Why do I care in the last 20 minutes of his life that he suffers?
That's very simple, Kathy. If you really want to punish a horrible person who is Ted Bundy, or you name all the famous criminals we've had who've murdered people, you lock them up inside of a little concrete and steel cage. You give them a bunk that's made of steel. You give them a mattress that's just a few inches thick. You give them one single thin pillow. You have them use a steel jacket toilet without a lid, and a stainless steel sink where they get all of their water from, with a very small flow of water. No air conditioning. And the only natural light they have comes from about 35 feet away through a very narrow window outside the bars of their cell. And you leave them there for the rest of their natural lives. That has to be the most severe punishment I could ever imagine for anyone. That's why so many people on death row actually write the governor and volunteer to be the next one to be executed.
Very, very sorry about what happened with your family. These are very difficult gray areas. Warden, you want to take a shot at what Cliff has to say about that?
Yeah, first of all, let me say that my condolences go out to Cliff. This gentleman, I think he has an awful lot of pain. I can hear it in his voice. I remember the pain very well. It still lingers in my mind. But at the same time, there's a moral issue involved. You know, we've got to be a moral nation if we're going to continue. America points its finger constantly at other countries for human rights violations. We're the quickest gun in the West when it comes to accusing somebody else of violating human rights. And then we turn around, walk right back onto our soil, and we start killing people.
Now, I know that you have still respect for the DOC and a lot of respect for a lot of the folks who still are in that department, and you're a highly decorated person. They have been asked to come back to the judge with, let's make a better procedure for the lethal injection so that it is not inhumane. If they were to do that to your satisfaction, would that change your mind?
Let me say, to preface this, that today's Florida Department of Corrections, under the new guidance since about a year and a half of Mr. Jim McDonough and his deputy, Dr. Bedard, I think they are doing a marvelous job. The improvements in the Florida Department of Corrections in the last year and a half are amazing. I can't believe the good things they've done. This man has courage. He's out there to clean it up and make it work right.
So
and
they can make a humane injection that executes a criminal. You're going to be for it or not?
No. I will not be for killing people under any reason except in self-defense and in defense of our country.
Mark, what if that... Go ahead.
Well, I guess, and Lord knows, with all due respect to the warden...
Thing from you, Warden, it seems like even though you experienced horrific crime in your own family, there's nothing like witnessing an execution to change a man. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
you're
indeed.
You're a changed man after witnessing execution.
Well, I have to say that it was several years after I left Florida State Prison that I finally had a sit-down with myself as a human being. A lot changed in my life that year in terms of finding my faith and asking myself what was right and what was wrong in this world. And one of the first things that came to my mind was that it's wrong to kill people.